from a $50 prototype using a cardboard cutout. And since then, he's secured several rounds of funding using real money, whilst keeping his eye on the prize as a basketball player.
Do I have the mental energy needed to focus on the business? And my dream was always NBA, and I played a couple NBA games. And I got one Division I offer actually to the Air Force Academy, which is a military school, but it's also a Division I school for sports. How can I make money? I want this pair of shoes. My parents aren't going to pay for it, or maybe they'll give me, $5-10 towards it, but I'm going to figure out. Germany briefly, then Turkey, and now Italy. So I'm a world traveler. I still have this talent and this skill set, and I need to find a way to make money off it, profit off of it.
Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm glad to be here, man.
Awesome. I'm glad you're on here as well. It's been fascinating reading up and sort of learning a bit more about you and that entrepreneurial streak, and really how you're managing to balance that alongside this, this dream of international basketball. I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's been very difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's been very difficult to balance the two, but I love both. So that makes it, a little bit easier.
Yeah, yes, I guess it does. It's hard, but perhaps a bit easier to at least get up and know you've got an exciting day ahead of you, where you get to bring these two worlds together.
Yeah, I'm in a weird place right now where I've trying to figure out what's next for me in my life. It's the first time I've ever thought about that. I'm sure we'll dive into that here on this podcast, but thinking about, do I have the mental energy needed to focus on the business, or do I need, because every day after practice, workouts, playing games, you're tired physically, and I still need and still want to be involved in the business, but I realize it's difficult to do that. And at the same time, I still want to be really good at my craft on the court. So figuring out that balance and figuring out and thinking through, is it time for me to step away from the game? It's the first time I've ever considered doing that, but those are the thoughts going through my head right now.
And at the moment, that is a lot going on in your head. And what is it then that has sort of brought that up for you? Where's business taking you right now? Where's playing taking you right now?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of, this season's been a tough season and the business is exciting, right? So if the season was going great, maybe I wouldn't have thought that, had those thoughts. I'm getting older. My body's getting, I've been banged up a little bit, you know how it goes. Uh, so I love the game of basketball. I love playing the game of basketball. My dream was always to play in the Division I NCAA tournament. I was really fortunate. I played in the national championship. Um, and my dream was always NBA. And I played a couple NBA games, and I've been in Europe the last couple years. So, it wasn't ever necessarily my dream to play in Europe, but I realized I can make a really good living doing this, and I'm still playing the game I love. But, recently the season's been a grind, and this year was really tough. And I just realized, man, I think maybe I'm just holding on to basketball. I have to be, I would, um, I'm a follower of Jesus, right? So I think, maybe I just need to surrender this to God, like surrender my career. I've never really surrendered it. And, that is what I've been contemplating recently, is just, am I holding on to this basketball career? And maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But at the same time, the business is exciting, but I also realize I need to be more present to make the business become a reality and a success. So just wrestling with those two things, talking with family, talking with my fiance, about it, and you know, it's something I'm still thinking about.
Yeah, I can well imagine, and having gone through many things myself, I know how, I guess, taxing at times mentally it is as you go
Hmm.
through, well, what comes next and how might that impact on your game. So, look, before we I guess we get to that this sort of point that you're at right now, I'm keen just to understand. You spoke there about your dreams of becoming an NBA player. Um, can you just help us, all of us who are listening here, just a bit about your career? Talk to us about where did you start and how did you progress through the ranks?
Yeah, yeah. I'll go through that quickly. So I grew up outside of Chicago, suburbs of Chicago, and love basketball ever since I was a child. That was my sport. I played soccer, I played football, played American football, played baseball. I just love sports, I love competition, but basketball was my biggest love. And I always wanted to play Division One, which in America, Division One is like the best level of college. And you got your big schools like Duke, and you got small Division Ones. I want to play at high major. Illinois was really where I wanted to play, but they never recruited me. So I got one Division One offer actually to the Air Force Academy, which is a military school, but it's also a Division One school for sports. And because it was my only Division One offer, I took it. And I quickly found out that the military was, um, a different breed of people than myself. We'll just put it that way. And I have nothing but respect for those who serve uh, our country and your country, like those who serve. But I want to play basketball, so I did a year at the Air Force Academy, transferred to University of South Dakota. Um, Really fortunate, had two really good seasons there, and then my coach left to a bigger school, and I had the opportunity to do what we call graduate transfer, and I grad transferred to Texas Tech University for my last season in college. And we had an unbelievable season. We won our Big 12 conference. In the NCAA tournament, we made it to the national championship, to the final game, which gave
Mm.
me a chance to have exposure and play on the biggest stage. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Final Four, you got
Yeah.
70, 80,000 people there. You're playing in a football stadium. Um, so that's the biggest stage for college basketball. And I'm really fortunate I got to participate in that. And so from there, it was okay, maybe this NBA dream is something that I can
Mhm.
attain, because now I played well on a big stage and I was getting NBA workouts. Uh, got to, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cool stories within that process, but worked
Wow.
out for 13 different NBA teams. Uh,
Wow.
Ended up not getting drafted, but had some really good workouts, and actually had a great workout with the Cleveland Cavaliers, um, who tied back in later. So the Cavaliers were one of my best workouts. I just killed that workout, but I ended up going to Memphis to start the season, and I played on their G League team. Well,
The, so
fast
the,
forward.
the G
Go
League
go
team.
ahead.
What does the G League team? What does that mean?
Yeah, okay. So uh, in the NBA, you got the NBA, but then you got the level below it is the NBA G League. So it's a league that it feeds it. It's a developmental league, but it feeds into the NBA. So basically, it's the minor leagues for baseball. Uh,
Yeah.
Soccer, I'm sure it's second division, right? And it's a little different because it's not like Europe. You win your league, you can bump up to first division, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Domestic league. But in America, you don't have that system. So it's a developmental league, but it's where the NBA scouts are looking. So it's that level right below the NBA where you're getting exposure and getting looks. And every NBA team has a G League team. So I played for Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies NBA team. I played for their G League team, the Memphis Hustle, and I was playing pretty well in the beginning of that season. And I got a call from my agent halfway through the season. He says to me, he says, I'll never forget what he said. He says, Matt, I regret to inform you, you're no longer a member of the Memphis Hustle G League team. And I'm thinking, well, what the heck does that mean? and he says, pack your bags. You're going to Cleveland. They just signed you on a contract. So, uh, that was one of the best days of my life, and it was. Yeah, there's a little more to the story, but I won't get into all of it now. So I got to live out my NBA dream a couple days later. My dad was there, my mom was there, my grandpa, a buddy of mine, DeJuan Wells, got to see my first NBA bucket. Uh,
Hmm.
from there, that was the season. That was 2020, and that's when COVID hit.
Yes.
So COVID ended that season, unfortunately. Ended up getting cut after training camp the next season. Played in the G League a little bit more. Got a 10-day contract with the New York Knicks. And then I went to Spain to Malaga, which, if you've ever been, is beautiful, but uh,
It's a beautiful place. I don't know
beautiful
about the
place.
basketball team. Yeah.
Yeah, the basketball team is good. When I was there, we were struggling a little. They were having some issues. I came in my first time overseas, so it was okay. But from there, I went to Germany briefly, then Turkey, and now Italy. So I'm a world traveler. Not no
You are.
England yet.
No, no. We need to get in the British Basketball League, right? That might have to be next before you call it quits.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They're not the British. I don't know if you know the British basketball league's not considered very good because they're so focused on football out there. I think.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is anyone who I've spoken to who plays in the league doesn't tell me that, but everybody from the outside tells me that.
There's certainly some good players and some good teams. I know the London Lions is a good team, um, but that's the perspective from the outside.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Which is fair. A perspective is someone's reality in many ways. Um, but so
Hmm.
for you then, I'm interested in that shift because, all right, you know, h- how did you cope with that NBA season being cut? I mean, you just made that dream. You'd started, you'd achieved what you wanted to do, which was get some NBA minutes. How did you feel when that
Hmm.
was, I guess, cut short?
Yeah, it was devastating. The contract I was on, I was one of the bottom guys on the roster, right? So I was on an NBA contract, but I still had to prove myself. And the way the season was going for Cleveland is we weren't going to make the playoffs. So typically, when you don't make the playoffs, they're going to play some of the guys that don't play as much to start giving them looks, see if they belong. So it was actually the day. I'm fortunate though, and blessed in many sense because the last game of the season I got to play in Chicago in front of my family and friends against the Bulls, and I played, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. That was the last game of the season, right? So, but when it got cut, I was devastated because this was my chance, this was my opportunity. But it's something we can't control, so I didn't dwell on it very long, and um, thought to myself, okay, I'll try to use this time to get better. So when I get another chance, I'll make the most of it. And you know, it didn't work out, but I know it wasn't for a lack of effort.
Hmm. And so at the end of that contract, going through COVID, you had a short contract at the Knicks, but how did you how did you feel then about this? I mean, move overseas. I mean, what was going through your mind? Did you think the NBA dream was over? You were out of contract in the US. I mean, tell me, how bad did things get at that point, or was it all positive?
No, good question. I never wanted to go overseas, right? I kind of hung on. I played in the G League 2.5 seasons because I'm still trying to get to the NBA. That's the dream. That's the goal. Overseas was never the dream, but I realized I still have this talent and this skill set, and I need to find a way to make money off it, profit off of it. And overseas has really good basketball in many places, and they pay well. nobody pays like the NBA. Um, there's certain EuroLeague teams. EuroLeague for basketball is like Champions League for soccer. So there's certain EuroLeague teams that are paying really well. But I was afraid to go overseas. I mean, I think I can honestly tell you when I was in Spain, I was depressed for a short amount of time just because I felt so alone. I couldn't speak to people. There was a language barrier, uh, time difference back home. Like that was a really tough time, tough adjustment for me. Um, but these are experiences that helped me grow, and I learned from. And now I've been to 4 different countries and get to travel to more through games. So it's a unique experience.
Yes, it is. And so as you reflect, I mean, here's a moment of reflection for you. And I know we opened up with you, thinking what's next. When you think about the NBA career that you had perhaps dreamt of, and you think about the breadth
Hmm.
of travel and cultural experience that you've had now, when you look at the two, how do you compare those as you look back, as to say, do you think, oh yeah, it's a good, you've got a good outcome, or is there something still inside that sort of pulls you back and thinks how it could have been?
Yeah, you know, I, that's a good question. I don't want to live my life with regrets. So I think, I see other guys in the NBA. Comparison, they say, is the thief of joy. I see other
Yeah,
guys in the NBA. Sometimes I wish that was me. I remember playing this dude in college. I felt like I was better than him. Now he's in the NBA. Now he's making this money. Now um, he's got this success, right? But I still got to be grateful and appreciative of what I did do and the
mhm,
experiences I did get to um, experience. I
yeah,
guess you could say there's probably a better way to say that, but I did get a chance to play in the NBA.
yeah.
Suit up on the NBA court for 2 different teams, playing the preseason. Work out for a number of different teams and to live out that dream. Am I satisfied with that? No, but I think those experiences will help me to teach the next generation. Hopefully, teach my kids. Not saying my kids got to play basketball, but just you know, if he does or if she does, to be able to teach them from those experiences that I've had. So um, I think about it time to time, just like I think about. I played in the national championship. We lost in overtime. I think about that game sometimes, but life goes on.
Hmm.
The sun comes up the next day.
It does. It does. We're blessed in that way. And one of the things I suppose I'm now super interested in is where you are today and how, how you are balancing that, growing a business whilst still fulfilling this dream of being a professional athlete. So to help get that understanding, just talk to me a bit about your, I guess, entrepreneurial mindset. Is this something that was with you as a youngster, or how was it developed?
Yeah, I've put some thought into that question throughout the years because some other people have asked me that, and I think I have to give a lot of credit to my mom. And it might not sound like a compliment, but growing up, we were not allowed, to watch TV, play video games, uh, to do all that stuff, which at the time I hated, but now I realize it's good because it I think it cultivated my creativity that I had to figure out things to do, um, and I was always my parents were not they did not spoil us, so I was always also thinking, how can I make money? I want this pair of shoes. My parents aren't going to pay for it, or maybe they'll give me $5-10 towards it, but I'm going to figure out does the neighbor need me to pull some weeds, or there's some devious things I did to make money at a young age too that I'm not proud of. But
Mhm.
like I was customizing shoes. I was cleaning shoes and customizing them when I was in high school and college. And then I was like, in college I was thinking about getting into the vending machine business because I'm like, all right, this is easy, passive income, don't have to do much. I realized it was a little more difficult than I had initially thought, so I bought a gumball machine. When I was in
Fine.
college, University of South Dakota, I bought a gumball machine. I propped it in the middle of the student center and collected $30 in quarters every week, which paid for some meals in college. So I always had that kind of, I don't know, that entrepreneurial mindset, as you say. Um, but this is something that is a lot bigger than just the gumball machine in the student center.
Yeah, because it sounds like some of those ideas, some of those that was born out of necessity. That was born out of a need to get food right on the table for you as you're going
Hmm.
through high school, going through college. Whilst you're earning a salary as an athlete, what is it then that has inspired you to start creating your own business? Talk to me about that story, how that has begun.
Yeah, so I guess those examples I said, you're right, there were more out of a necessity, but I was also always thinking about problems and solving problems. Like it started when I was in high school as well. I would take long drives. My school was far away, so I was always thinking, is there a more comfortable way to sit in the car because I'm driving so far and I wanted to create this headrest that, was more comfortable to sleep on, right? And I would sell it to all these car companies. Looking back on it, it's not a very good idea at all. But I started listing out these problems, and that's what entrepreneurs do. You figure out a problem, you find a solution to it. So, when I was in college, I was a finance major to begin, and I realized I'm probably never going to use this. This isn't what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about basketball. And at South University of South Dakota, there was a new major, innovation and entrepreneurship major. So I was one of the first guys to join that major. The other guy that joined dropped out a couple weeks later because he realized, man, I don't really need college. I can just start my own business. So he went and started his own business. So then it was just me. So my professor in that class, Howard Haynes is his name. He did a really good job cultivating that in me. And the first half of our semester, our homework was figure out 5 problems, write them down, 5 problems. That's our homework. In the second half of the semester, go back to those problems, find out solutions to those problems. And one of the problems that I encountered in my sport was that when I practice, and this is what gave birth to athletic, when I practice, my shots are wide open when I'm shooting by myself, wide open shots. And, shooting with the shooting machine, shooting with the coach, I'm shooting wide open shots. And most players, almost all players are. But in games, there's just like in soccer, there's defender on you, contesting you, defending you. And that's how my idea started, is because I wanted to solve that problem in practice. And, since then it's evolved into something with technology, with AI, helping players actually improve their shot mechanics so that they can become much better shooters, much more consistent, and perfect their unique shooting style.
That's really cool. I love the way that is something you began through college. And, well, for one, like you say, your professor there did a good job of teaching you how to identify problems and then talk you through, or then it sounds like work with you on building out these solutions. And you've brought that into something that something yourself, you know about it yourself, and you're helping to now solve this. But I guess the gap that I'm getting is that sounds very difficult to do by yourself. So how have you gone about bringing that solution to life?
Yeah, that's something that's been a learning curve for me, right? Is how do I bring this to life? I just had the idea. Now, how do I make this, into reality? I realized, okay, this is something that players need, coaches need, that they want. Nobody else is doing it. So how do I capitalize on this idea? So, the idea started in 2016. I built a prototype with two of my business classmates at South Dakota, and it was a $50 prototype that had a hole in the middle that allowed the passer to pass the ball through the middle, and it had hands at the top. No technology, and after we built that, I kind of forgot about it. It was in the back of my mind because I was more focused on basketball. So 2020 though, just like, we talked about the negatives that came from COVID and, not getting to, get that time on the court that I wanted in the NBA. But it gave me an opportunity to revisit this idea because now I had time on my hands. I had a little bit of money in my pocket from my short time in the NBA. So built that, took that prototype to the next level and started from there. But at that point in time, it took me about, I don't know, 6 months to a year to realize I need some help. I need some people who can do what I don't know to do. And, I needed a tech guy. I needed someone who has experience running a business, starting a startup company. So I was on the prowl for these pieces that could help me. I think, my role is I got the vision. I know what I want the product to do. I know the game of basketball, what players and coaches want, but I need somebody who can make this into a real business, help fundraise, handle the operations. I need somebody with a tech background, knows about programming, who can speak the language to the engineers that we're working with, contracting. So, it's something I prayed a lot about, and I found. Sorry,
Well,
sorry,
I'm
my
curious then.
signal's not great, Ryan.
Uh, it's all good. It's all good. But I'm curious
Okay.
then. How did you figure out that you needed help? What was it that said, I can't do this. I can't go down this path by myself. Well, what was it that came to you?
Yeah, I think part of it is, I had people tell me, "Hey, if you're gonna succeed in this is a full-time job. This is, I mean, you're building a startup company, you have to be fully committed to it." And I wasn't ready to give up, playing basketball. I still had a lot of good basketball in me, and maybe I still do, I don't know, right? But that was part of it is I realized I need help because I'm still committed to playing ball. I don't have all the time and energy that I need to put into this. So I need somebody to help me there. But uh, so I think it was guidance. My older brother, I've been really fortunate. My older brother's running a startup company in the fitness space. And so he's like a little bit ahead of where I want to get to. So all of his mistakes and what he's learned in his process of running a startup, he's been able to relate to me. My professor, Howard Haynes, my financial advisor in Lubbock, Texas, Preston Tharp, just some smart people around me have advised me on these things. And, it just made a lot of sense to me. I need people to, to surround myself with to help me with the things that I don't know what to do.
Got it. Got it. And that guidance started to open up your eyes towards the skill set that you had and the skill set that you needed to bring in to help make athletic IQ make it a reality.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, I think I was, maybe it's pride or maybe it's, man, this is my idea. You know, it's about me type of thing, and just to have some humility and realize what do the customers want, what do the investors want, and I was CEO for a while, but it's like, how do they perceive me as CEO, a young guy that's still playing basketball? Are they going to take me seriously? And probably not. I got to prove myself. So, Matt Mitchell, my business partner, he's our CEO. He's older, has more experience running a business, is, going to be doing this full time. Aaron Phillips, our CTO, he's programmer, software engineer, has a lot of success building a company called SitePro that is very respected and looked at by investors. So, giving those guys some equity, bringing them in, it makes my dream become reality. If I didn't do that, I would be nowhere near where we are today.
That's great. That you used the word yourself there, humility, and it demonstrates great humility for you to, I guess, move forward and recognize you can't do it by yourself. And I think getting to that stage is actually often very challenging. Um, but for you, it does seem as though it came through naturally by having initially the right people around you, and then moving in to build I guess, a team that could help move you further forward as well.
Yeah, for sure. I learned during the pandemic, I was actually very interested in another guy's startup. I became very close to him without saying any names, and uh, I tried to get involved and help him. And my older brother actually got involved, tried to help him as well because we were both passionate about what he was doing, and it was in the fitness space. And realized the reason his company hadn't grown is he'd had been at it for years, but he was unwilling to give up any piece of the company, any equity, to say, hey, I trust in you. He was unwilling to bring people in to help him with his weaknesses. So I think seeing that firsthand helped me um, realize right then I need to do it differently than he's doing it. And if I want my idea to ever get anywhere, I need to bring people in, be able to give up part of my company and some equity, and that's okay because in the long run, we'll make a lot of money, we'll have a lot of success. That's the hope and the goal.
That description there, that example is wonderful, because what you're talking about there is, well, you're wanting to help somebody, but you're learning from someone else's experience. You see where they've gone, the challenges that they've faced, and that's helped you to, well, as I say, accelerate the learning, accelerate your experiences by looking at others, by listening to others. And that for me is really powerful. And look, that's indeed what this podcast is about, is listening to stories of others who have gone ahead of you, not to take shortcuts. I don't think there are shortcuts, but to help accelerate that journey, to accelerate you further forward, to set yourself up.
Yeah, for sure. And if I ever do a podcast, I'm going to do it like you do it. I'm going to learn exactly from the way you've done it, the way you've set it up, because this podcast is, really well done and really well prepared. So yeah, you learn from other people, and you take those experience. I think when I coach someday, right? I played for a million different coaches. It's taking the good from the coaches, the bad from the coaches, learning from all that to try to be the best coach that I can be.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so it sort of gets us to this space where you are now, and this challenge. And I speak with many athletes who struggle with balancing their both mental and physical energy between the pursuit of that professional career and setting themselves up through business, through work, through study. What's your secret, Matt?
Hmm. My secret. I don't know if I've, quite. If I have a secret, it's the Lord. My faith. That's the secret. Is to lean on God. There's a lot I don't understand, don't know. I lean on Him a lot, and then community. Having great people around me that I can bounce ideas off of, um, that can help me think through things and pray for me, right? Because I'm in this tough season of life right now where, for the first time ever, it's kind of scary, but it's, man, maybe, I hang it up. Maybe I stop playing basketball. So the secret is, also, more practical things is to get a good amount of sleep, to eat right, because it takes energy to be able to go to the gym and perform and play and get extra reps in, and then at night be on some calls and to do all that. And I got a great community. I got a great woman by my side supporting me. So all that stuff helps me out.
Yeah, that's right. And I love that it talks about that mental toughness. You brought in there faith, helps you along that way, as does that community. And you talk about that physical energy through getting a good night's sleep. I'm curious, perhaps, about some of the, um, I guess that actual normal activity. I'll say just probably the boring stuff. But what does a week look like for you? How do you mix your day, between the training and working on the business? Can you describe that for a day or a week?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit since I came to Italy. So I was playing in Turkey the first half of the season, and was really fortunate. Got picked up by a good club here in Italy, uh, Aquila Basket Trento, and so it's shifted a little bit. But typically, nowadays I'll get up, make a smoothie bowl. Every morning I usually make a smoothie bowl. I don't know if you guys have you had smoothie bowls before or
I have
acai
not
bowl?
had a smoothie bowl. No.
Yeah, you're missing out, man. The world is missing out on the smoothie bowl. It's fantastic. Put a little granola on top, maybe some fruit, some honey. It's really good. So
I'm
I get
Googling
up,
this now.
make some
This
make
is
some
next.
breakfast. Yeah, make some breakfast. Try to get to the gym early, typically an hour early. Get some treatment, get in the weight room, do some mobility. Maybe a little earlier if I got lift that day. We'll have film practice, get some extra shots up, take an ice bath. Uh, it's nice the facility we have now. We got sauna, ice bath, pool. Um, so I'll probably get out of there around 1:30, 2 o'clock. Come home. Usually my fiance has food prepared for me, which is great. When she's not with me, it's different. I usually go out to eat, pick something up, bring it back home, just because like that cooking is takes energy to have to do all that and clean the kitchen afterwards. So it's really nice. That saves energy and time for me. Um, but then the evening is usually when I have calls scheduled. So I'll get together with my business partners, talk about what steps we need to take for the business, what we got planned for the week, what we got planned for the short term, and then right now we're in the fundraising mode, so it's all about fundraising. It's getting on calls with investors. Uh, trying to get exposure and do more podcasts. This is the second one that I've done, but trying to do more of these. So I appreciate you getting me on to do this. And then we're working on getting LOIs. So just that pre-sale phase, getting on calls with coaches, asking them if they can sign LOIs, telling them more about the business. So there's just a lot that goes into it every day. There's tasks that need to be completed and people to talk to. So that's typically what my week looks like. And then, at the end of the night, uh, maybe a little something that's relaxing, that's mindless, and then try to get to bed at a good hour, 11, 12, uh, sometimes a little later, depending on when practice is, but 11, 12. And I'm a guy, I need a good 9 hours of sleep. Some guys can do less, but I think for me right now, with what I got going, I need a good 9 hours.
Yeah, listen, what a day. And it does sound, that is two full-time jobs that you're working through there. What's the most challenging part of that routine for you?
Yeah, the most challenging part I think is compartmentalizing, right? It's when I'm in basketball, this is basketball. Like sometimes I'll be at practice thinking about the business. It's like, no, no, you're in practice right now. Like you need to focus on this because this is your job. This is what you're getting paid to do. And sometimes I'm in business thinking about the game I got coming up this week and how I'm going to defend, my matchup and different things like that, right? So I think the compartmentalizing piece is something that I'm getting better at, but it's difficult because both things are present in my life, and the thing that's helped with me is I and my business partners know I won't take calls. I've tried not to take calls the day before games and obviously on game day. Those days my mind is really getting locked in, ready for the game. But the rest of the week, I really try to hammer out everything I can with the business.
I like that, Matt. I like that. What you've spoken about is closing out the evening by switching off from sport or at least from your career in basketball or from the business, something mindless, getting a good night's sleep. And there you've spoken about the biggest challenge being how to compartmentalize your thinking, your thoughts. And I like that very real, actionable sort of thing to do, which is simple as blocking calls. When you know that you need to be in game mode, you're able to
Hmm.
have people who respect that. So people within your team who are able to say, okay, let him be in game mode, let's make this work. And I'm sure that's beneficial for you, beneficial for the team, but then also for your business partners, because whilst you're in the game, whilst you're playing, that's a good thing for the brand as well.
Yeah, I think, I owe it to my team. I owe it to my organization to give them all I got, right? They're paying me to be a certain player on the court to perform, right? So I owe it to them. Like I can't let the business get in the way of how I perform on the court. And sometimes it's difficult because there is a lot of mental energy that goes into it. Like I'm the type of guy, I need to be moving, I need to be active, right?
Mm.
Like the mental is almost more draining for me than the physical, right? So the business stuff, it maybe takes more energy to do that, to be on calls, to be alert, to be focused. Because my personality is like, yeah, I'm thinking about different things at once. So that compartmentalizing is really key for me. But the other thing I'll add is I've been really, really blessed with my two business partners right now, Aaron Phillips and Matt Mitchell. Like these are two guys I trust,
Mm.
wholeheartedly. Like, it's been really great for me as I don't have any concerns with these guys. And maybe, some people listen will say that's naive. But we've got a really great, strong relationship. So I trust these guys when I'm focused on hoops. Like I know they're doing what they need to be doing, and they, they are just really smart, really wise.
Mm.
They know how to. If I'm not there all the time, they know how to get things done. And like Matt Mitchell, he's running the day-to-day operations, so we're on the same page. Aaron and I are on the same page. We got a great dynamic going right now.
And I think for other athletes listening, what I like about that is it enables you to compartmentalize. It enables you to continue to focus on the game, on, you know, like you said, being your best when you're on court, be it training, prep, as that is. But that the importance there is on that team that you have on court, but this team that you have within your business as well, that allows you to keep, well, quite simply excelling at the two things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not worried about them. Like I can focus on hoops, knowing what needs to get done is getting done. Like these guys are taking care of what they need to. Aaron's going above and beyond. He's testing out new motors for our arm right now. Um, we're getting our camera modules out. These are details I haven't talked about, but things are
Mhm.
happening behind
Yeah.
behind the scenes while I'm playing basketball, and we stay in constant communication.
So, in the sense that your career, your basketball career, you say it's you're approaching that decision point. You're trying to think about what's next for you there. From a business perspective, you're at the start of that dream. So, where's next for the business? You say you're in fundraising. Where do you want that to go? What do you dream of for that organization?
Yeah, so for the business, it's been a grind, right? You're fundraising, you got something you totally believe in, but you got to convince other people that it's going to be the success that I think it's going to be, and that we think it's going to be. So, yesterday actually we had a conversation with the guy who, and you get these guys that come in and talk a big game, but it seems like he's very able to fund our round. He's a big basketball guy, loves the idea, and has a lot of connections because in he sold his company for what he threw out there was 150 million, and now he's looking for something to do. He loves basketball. He loves our idea. He wants to invest. He wants to bring other people in. So this could be the guy that helps us get to the next level. I don't know. We'll see, but you know, my dream and my vision with this is, number one is to glorify God. I want this business to bring glory to God. I want it to, as cliche as it sounds, make the world a better place. With the money we make and the money we make our investors, hopefully we make the world, a better place. And
Hi, it's Ryan Gonsalves here. Thanks for tuning in today. I just want to take a moment to ask you an important favor. To help grow this channel, one thing will do that above more than anything else. Please hit that subscribe button. By hitting that subscribe button, you help me to grow the channel, allowing me to create more tailored content, improving the quality, and also to develop additional services such as the workshops, one-on-one sessions specifically designed to support elite athletes in that difficult transition to that career beyond sport. So if you want to join me on this journey to help inspire, guide, and connect individuals to find their second wind, please hit that subscribe button.
but really, it's to help every basketball player improve and reach their potential. I was really fortunate. I had my dad, who's no longer with us. He passed away a couple years ago, but I had my dad growing up to teach me how to play. He was in the gym with me all the time. He taught me how to shoot, right? And a lot of kids don't have that. So this is something that can really help those kids. It can help players. It can help parents and coaches better help their kids as well and teach their kids how to improve upon their shot. But the dream is we start with basketball, right? Basketball is our wheelhouse right now. We have something that is able to simulate game conditions, but also has the AI to help players improve upon their shot. All these other companies, we compare it to a radar gun, right? A radar gun, it can tell you how fast the car is going, but it doesn't tell you how to make the car go faster. So what we're doing is actually helping the car. We're telling you how to make the car go faster, right? Instead of just telling you the result, you made this many shots, missed this many shots, and those basic details. We're actually looking at a player's shot and understanding what he's doing well when he makes shots, what he's doing well when he misses shots, or what he's not doing well. Sorry, when he misses shots, right? So now you can figure out what each player is doing right and help them to perfect their unique shot mechanics. Because in basketball, it's simple because there's a direct result every shot. You make it or you miss it. Soccer is a little different because you got the goalie in the way, you got other players in the way. Like basketball, you're getting contested, but once the shot is off, it's either made or missed. So that result ties back to, okay, what did that player do well on his made shots? What did he do? Didn't he do well on his missed shots? And now the way that technology and AI is moving is perfect timing to incorporate that, to be able to pick up on these tendencies in players and at the same time simulate the game. So short term, it's basketball, it's hardware and software. And then what we're going to do in the short term as well is we'll separate the software from the hardware. So we'll be able to help players and coaches with their shot, without having the machine in front of them. We'll be able to, we'll have it somewhere else in the gym. But then, long term, we go into other sports. We go into volleyball. With the hardware, it's easy to contest at the volleyball net. American football with kickers. Maybe there's an application with soccer. I need to talk with more guys like yourself, Ryan, about how we can make that happen.
Let's do it.
So that's the short term, long term.
Yes. Yeah. I like it. I like the way you've got that vision, the way it builds, and the excitement that's visible, for me to see, and everyone who'll be watching, that excitement from you comes from there. Last couple of questions then really is, when you think about where you are now, and it's as much reflecting on your situation around, what perhaps could you have done certain things better to prepare yourself for this transition. But it's more about, if someone comes to you and asks you that question, a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old comes and says, hey, Matt, I've got a long career ahead of me, but what do you think I could do to help best prepare me for that life after sport? How would you approach that question?
Yeah, great question. Oh, really, a lot of really good questions. I'm a big believer in finding your purpose and doing what I think is twofold. I think life is twofold. It's figuring out what our gifts and talents are and pursuing those. Pursuing a career that can help us maximize our gifts and talents, And then at the same time is figuring out what breaks your heart and try to help in that area. So those two things. But on the side of that we're talking about, it's our gifts and talents, right? What are we good at? Because that's our gift to the world. That's what's going to make us excited to get out of bed every day, and um, I realize that not everybody has that luxury, because for whatever reason that, they got to put food on the table. But at some point, I think it's really important to, yeah, figure out what you enjoy, what you're good at, because we're all good at something. We all enjoy something, and to attack that, and just try to be as good as you can possibly be. Everybody says you can't fear failure. Like failure's going to come. We might look. I know the possibility we might fail with the company. I got cut from the NBA. I lost in the national championship. I missed a lot of game winners. I made a lot of game winners, and that's part of life. But if you don't go after it, you're going to have regrets. Like, I think that's far worse than failure, far worse than not attaining your goals is having regrets that you didn't even get a chance to try it. So one of my favorite quotes is, "Go after a dream destined to fail without divine intervention." And it's really just, whatever it is, you got to go after it. Even if it seems too big to go after, you got to go after it, because otherwise you live your life with regretting. And I've seen that happen one too many times.
Matt, thank you very much for joining me on this podcast today. It's been a really enlightening conversation for me, just listening to your background, but then also your approach to, building teams, to going about your dream, to having the courage to live overseas. And something that I think you've shared some real actionable insights to those that are listening. So I really appreciate you sharing your story today, Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share it. And, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Like, really well done. Awesome questions. It's been really fun to have this conversation with you, Ryan.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Matt. Oh, actually, before we go, I should just say people are going to be listening to this and they're going to want to reach out or get in contact with you. Where's the best place to follow your story and get in touch?
Yeah. So thanks for giving me this opportunity. Social media, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, pretty much those two, Matt_M_Mooney. My email, if they're interested in the business, in investing, or in helping in some way, my email is matt@athletic.io. But athletic is spelled ATHLETIQ. Sometimes people think it's athletic IQ, but that's actually the brilliance of Aaron Phillips. He said, we're going to combine IQ and athletics, intelligent training. So Matt@athletic.io if they want to email me.
Brilliant. Matt, thanks again.
Thanks, Ryan.